Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mercury, and we're just about there. We are just about at another travel expedition, if you will. So as I've mentioned recently, I have another cruise planned, and it's not just on the horizon. It's in 2 days. It's in 2 days. And I want to relax tomorrow. I don't want to worry about packing tomorrow, so I'm gonna pack tonight. So we're gonna pack for a cruise. So today I'm gonna show you basically how I pack, what's on my packing list, how I use my packing cubes, how I pack for a cruise that might be a little different than how I pack for a different type of a trip. I have like a few different kind of like packing methods. Like if I was like going on a plane and trying to do carry-on only versus carry-on and check bag versus a cruise. I have a different packing style for each type of a trip that I take. There are some similarities. There are some things that are just really different. And I'm going to show you what I do for packing for a cruise. So join me while I pack. So first things first, I have my packing list. So I'm going to go and gather my items, and then we're going to come back here and put it in a big pile because ain't no way I could keep this stuff neat as I'm gathering. So I'm going to go gather. Okay, so lack of space, apartment living, whatever. I'm doing this on the floor. My floor is clean. I have my little robot vacuum back here. He keeps me on par with the cleanliness. So I'm just working with what I got down here. So first up, packing cubes. So I used to use like no packing cubes. Then I got like regular packing cubes. Then I upgraded to compression packing cubes. I find them useful. So this is what I'm going to use. So I have that. I have all of my clothing laid out, and we're going to get packing. But first, I want to talk about my packing list and how I sort of like come up with my packing list. And also, after I tell you my method for my packing list, let me know. I'm thinking of like creating a little PDF where it's like my packing list, and then it has like an other section for like different types of trips. And if that's something you're interested in, if I put a packing list together so I don't have to like write it every single time that I like travel, I'll make it available so anybody can use my packing list. So let me know if that's something you're interested in, and I'll work on it when I get back. But for now, we're going with the old reliable pen and paper list. So when I make my packing list, the way I think through packing is like the old nursery rhyme, the old song, like head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? So what I mean by that is when I'm packing, what do I need on my head? Do I need a hat? Do I need sunglasses? Do I need headphones, earmuffs? Like, is it cold weather, hot weather? Where am I going? What goes on my head? Mouth, toothbrush, toothpaste, hairbrush, right? Like, what is associated with my head? Shoulders, okay, shirts, jackets, hoodies, a scarf, right? So I just sort of like work down, like, what do I need to wear? What will be required? And I think through it like that. And I think through it in terms of like circumstances, like, am I going to a beach? Am I going swimming? Am I going to a gym? Will I be exercising? Do I need gym clothes? Will there be, when I get to feet, will there be a lot of walking? Will there be like fancy night, like on a cruise where I need like fancy footwear, or are my sneakers perfectly appropriate for the whole trip? So I literally go head, shoulders, knees, and toes to create my packing list. And then once I sort of have that, I then separate it out into buckets of like where it gets packed / what category. So for a cruise, and also in the case of like if I'm flying somewhere where I'm doing check luggage and carry-on luggage, I always put 1 to 2 outfits in the carry-on. So that way, if heaven forbid I get separated from my check luggage, I'm not left high and dry. I still have something to wear. In the case of a cruise, I'm going to put a bathing suit in there too, so I will still be able to enjoy the beach. Like I will have the things I need. I do have travel insurance, so in case of like real problems, I am covered. But I'd rather minimize problems, right? So one way I mitigate risk is what, one or two, maybe three, depending on how full the luggage is. Put a couple of outfits in my hand luggage, and that way I always have it with me. So then I break down my list by what goes in the check luggage, what goes in the carry-on luggage. And then I even go a step further and it's like, what's on my person, right? Like wallet, cell phone, keys, right? Like those are on my person, but I don't want to leave and forget it. In the case of a cruise or international travel, got to make sure I have my passport. In the case of like airfare, do I have all the apps installed? Do I have my plane ticket on there? You know, like all that stuff, right? So I sort of think about like where I need it, like, and where I need access to it. So I have carry-on, I have backpack, which on my person could be backpack or it could be like a pocket or like a hip pack, but it means like attached to me in some way. And then I have carry-on luggage, like hand luggage that, you know, in my case, my skull suitcase, the smaller suitcase that can, you know, fit in the TSA approved carry-on. And then check luggage. And that's going to have like the bulk of like my clothes. Because I'm going on a cruise and I am not getting on an airplane, I don't have to worry about small size toiletries. So I can bring my regular toiletries. I also have a bathroom category, speaking of toiletries. Bathroom items, I split that out into its own category for packing purposes in the sense of like, I split that out into its own category for gathering. So as I'm like scooting around my apartment, grabbing everything I need, I know most of what's in the bathroom is going to go in the check luggage, but I have it in its own category because there are some things in the bathroom that do end up on my person or carry-on luggage. You know, like medication would end up in a category like that, right? But like makeup, that's another thing that might end up in that category. So there's a few things in the bathroom that don't necessarily end up in the check luggage. So I sort of have to maneuver a few items of that around. But for my list, I sort of have bathroom as its own category, check luggage as its own category, carry-on, and on my person. And that's how I organize myself for packing. So now that I said that big old mouthful, let's talk about a couple of differences between packing for a cruise versus another type of a trip. So there's a couple of things I bring on a cruise that I don't necessarily bring on other types of trips. So one thing that I bring on cruise trips that I don't bring on other types of trips is my door magnet. Yeah. So I have a few of these. If you've seen my past cruise vlogs, you know I adore towel animals. Love them. So I have magnets to express my love for the towel animals. This came in like a multi-pack. There were like 4 or 5 magnets that came in the pack. The very first cruise I went on and used these, someone took it off my door and I was so disappointed. Last cruise I went on to Alaska, I came back home with my magnet. I'm hoping I come back home with my magnet. They're not super expensive, so I'm not twisted out of shape over this, but it was annoying that it was taken from my door because these are like little things that bring me joy. Yeah, the magnets and the towel animals, but yeah. And I let my stateroom attendant know I am a fan of the towel animals. So, okay, I'm gonna stop going down that rabbit hole. But that's one thing I bring. Another thing is we have to make sure we have clothing for fancy night because cruises, depending on the length of the sailing, there may be fancy night. And usually if it's a longer sailing, there could be 2 fancy nights. So I'm on a 7-day sailing. This is going to have 2 fancy nights. So if you're wondering what I'm going to wear for fancy night this time, I'm not bringing the black and white dress this time. I'm not feeling it right now. But I have this black and red dress, right? So we got that one. And then I call this my bandana dress. So it's this cute little thing, right? And the reason why I call it a bandana dress, it has this lace overlay, but if you look at like the base layer, it's like this white cotton, but it's like a bandana pattern. I don't know. I like it. I call it my bandana dress. So I have those for fancy night. Also on cruises, they do themed nights. And this cruise, this sailing, they were sending me a lot of emails, like get you excited for the cruise kind of emails. And I don't remember getting this many emails from Royal before, but they were sending me like, these are the theme nights. So if you want to participate, here's what they are, which is awesome because I'm always guessing, but they sent out a thing ahead of time. So it was like white clothing night, Caribbean attire night, and Halloween night. So I don't feel like bringing a whole costume, but I have a dress. I have a dress. So Halloween night, I'm not sailing on Halloween, but they're having a Halloween themed night. So I have my pumpkin dress for Halloween night. So got that. So if you're going on a sailing and there's theme nights and you want appropriate attire for that, obviously you do that for a cruise. Closed-toed shoes. Some of these cruise ships have cool activities. So if you want to do things like the zip lining or the rock climbing wall or any of these type of activities they have on board, a lot of times they require closed-toed shoes. So you want to make sure that you have a pair of like sneakers or something, not sandals, like with you, right? You know, because a lot of times you're like, oh, it's a beach, it's relaxing, and we're going to be just chilling the whole time. And then you're like, that thing looks fun. And they're like closed-toed shoes. And you're like, do I have those? So you make sure you have those. And then obviously beach attire if I'm going to a beach. In this case I am, because we are stopping Perfect Day Coco Cay. So there is that. Yeah, I think, is there anything else that sets cruising apart for me? Some people bring like magnetic hooks because a lot of the walls in the staterooms are magnetic. I've never felt a need to do that. I've always found the storage that the rooms have to be more than enough. I find their designing of the rooms very, very clever. And I've never not had enough storage. Even when I've traveled with other people, it's always been fine. So I don't bring the magnetic hooks, but I do know other people do. So if that's your jam, go for it. One thing though is the staterooms, they don't always have a lot of outlets, especially the older ships. One thing that I thought of doing is they usually have a European plug. I might bring an adapter for a European outlet so I have a second outlet. You cannot bring extension cords though. No extension cords because they're fire hazards. So there are a lot of like prohibited items. So you can't bring like things that, you know, multi-plugs, like you can't turn one outlet into 3 outlet. Like they say like no multi-plugs or extension cords. So, you know, you have to also think through like, how are you going to charge items? Because older ships, it's a little more limited. I'm sailing on Symphony of the Seas, which is an Oasis class, so it's a newer ship. So it'll be interesting to see what the outlet situation is. The one ship I was on where outlets were not an issue was Icon of the Sea. And that was like a brand new ship. So I'm not sure how Symphony is going to stack up with the outlets, but I will let everyone know when I get on board. So I just said a mouthful. I got to put all these clothes into these cubes and get this going. So let me do that. I'll be back. So the first thing I did was I separated out 2 piles, one for coming in the carry-on with me, one for going into the check luggage. I have one large compression cube at the ready, and I don't know if I'm gonna need this medium one or this medium one, but one of them will work for the carry-on. So now I'm gonna pack everything into the cubes. So I got everything into the packing cubes. I ended up needing 2 cubes for the carry-on. So it's a little bit more than I thought I was gonna need, but that does include 2 pairs of jeans. So it took up a little bit more space. You can't overstuff those cubes or they don't compress. So it took 2 cubes, but that's fine. The other thing I wanted to mention is as I was packing, there were 2 other things that I bring specifically for cruises that I wanted to mention. The first is like a tote bag, and that's because perfect day Coco K. So it's a beach day, so I want to bring my beach bag. I bring a towel, extra sunblock, reading material, like all that stuff that you would bring for a beach day. I want to make sure I have a tote bag to bring with me. I also have my own snorkel. They do have them available to rent, but like the thing goes in your mouth, so I like having my own, and they were not that expensive when I ordered it. I've had it for years. It's lasted. It's just the mask and the snorkel. I don't have the flippers, just the mask and the mouthpiece. But it served me well. I've been using it for like the past, 5 years, and it's doing great. So I'm gonna pack that as well. The other thing I forgot to mention that I bring for cruises, body wash. Because the cruises, they have that wall-mounted, like 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, body wash combo thing. It's not bad, but it's not my preference. So I do bring my own body wash and shampoo and conditioner. So I just wanted to mention that also. And I guess with that, I am done for the day. And I'll see you all real soon as we head to Symphony of the Seas. So until then, stay inspired by everyone. Take care.